With the second anniversary, we are getting showered with gifts, free polls, free euphoria, and even a bunch of free characters. On top of Auric, the Matilda portrait, and the new Buddy Fairchild from the latest chapter, everyone is also getting a free portrait selector. This one goes all the way up to Recoleta and Aleph. So today, I want to share what I think are the best portraits you should pick up with this free selector. Out of all the portraits you can pick, two stand above the rest. The first, no surprising to anyone who watched my content, is Flutter Pages P1. Once you unlock it, there is no going back. What it does is simple, but game-changing. It extends her AP plus 1 buff from lasting 1 turn to 2. On paper, it doesn't make the buff stronger, but in practice, is both a huge quality of life upgrade and a real DPS boost for the most teams. Quality of life comes from not needing to refresh for her skill 1 every turn just to keep AP plus 1 up, and on the DPS side, having that extra action point every other turn means your carry or your support gets more room to act, charging ultimate faster and just push damage harder overall. The other one I want to talk about is actually a P5, Mercuria's P5. I know, P5 is crazy, but she was a 2.0 character and it's been a year. I would not doubt that some of you lucky people already have her sitting at P4 out of sheer 50-50 losses. If you were here since the beginning, you probably already have heard about the legend of P5 Mercuria, but for those who are not in the know, let me quickly explain. So, the ceiling of Mercuria's buff are really broken, but normally not everyone can fully access them. To access the buffs, the team need to charge the cosmic energy with the help of ranked incantations. Things like follow-ups and ultimate that doesn't have rank to them are not included. You need to be able to charge 16 cosmic energy in a single turn if you want access to the incantation might, which is very difficult to achieve for some characters. But with her P5, the cosmic energy will now last 3 turns, which means you have 2 turns to charge 16 stacks to fully activate her buff, and also greatly increase the amount of stack any team can maintain in general, turning her into a completely universal support that can be put into literally any team, providing up to 90% damage bonus, 50% crit damage, and 30% incantation might. Other than P5, her P2 is also pretty good for the team that can already use her. It increased the crit damage she gave from 30% to 50% and incantation might from 20% to 30%. Now, those two, Flutter Pages P1 and Mercuria's P5, are what I call the most broken and the most flexible, but they're not the only good option here. First, we've got Auric. Auric is the free 6-star character given for the second anniversary, and just like Sima was during the first anniversary, he started out as a standard character. And yes, that put him in the selector too. Both of Auric's skills are channeling. His skill 1 apply an ultimate mind buff to allies at the start of each turn, while his skill 2 apply a debuff that reduces enemies' damage taken reduction at the start of each turn. As you infuse more dynamo into the electric field, both the buff and the debuff keep scaling up until they hit a cap. Then they reset once the channeling ends. His P1 pushed this cap higher, raising them from 70% to 85%. It might not sound huge, but it's a noticeable boost for damage output if you are using Lucy with him. And once Charon drops, the synergy gets even better since Charon's buffs are focused on crit rate and crit damage, so they won't dilute the value of Auric's buffs. There is also impromptu characters, specifically Barcarola and Aleph. If you don't have a full impromptu team, then honestly there is no real reason to chase this, but if you do and you want to make them stronger, their early portraits are definitely worth it. From a raw damage perspective, Barcarola's first 2 portraits are stronger than Aleph's. But you guys know me, I value comfort a lot, and that's why I actually recommend prioritizing Aleph's P1. Aleph's P1 works a lot like Flutter Pages and extend the duration of his AP plus 1 effect by 1 turn. The difference is, instead of giving that extra action point to allies, when you have this, you'll want to spend it on his skill 2. Doing that massively improves his incantation might coverage. It also allows him to skip skill 1 during the turn where he casts his ultimate, and reduce the potential moxie wasted. And the last one worth highlighting is Fortuna's P2. This portrait lowers the shell needed to trigger her free skill 1 from 7 to 5. That small change make her pump out way more follow-ups, which means more cleanses, stronger synergy with follow-up comps, extra shell application, and even more healing. And that's the more niche but still meta portrait. But for the next up of this video, I actually want to talk about some bit more controversial portrait to use this for. First, we have Kakania's P3. This one massively increased how much empathy she can store before having to use her ultimate to reset it, and how much she heals by changing the damage threshold to trigger her healing. The change it brings is enough to shift her from being just a secondary sustain to basically the solo sustain of a team. Now the issue is, we've got way better sustain option now, with characters who not only keep the team alive really well, but also bring serious buffs. So Kakania just isn't that relevant in the current meta unless some even more difficult and aggressive content come out. Next up, Gatien's P1 and P2. On release, he wasn't really a meta standout, but once he got his Euphoria in 3.0, he becomes a solid ultimate support and also a sub DPS. With Euphoria, his P1 raises his newly acquired ultimate mind buff in the array from 40.5% to 54%, and also make his rotation smoother if you want to play him more passively. His P1 is even better as it let him cast his ultimate on turn 1. The downside is that his damage bonus is still tied to reality, and he's mostly just used for Azure Cassandra ult combo at the moment. Finally, I want to talk about Vela. This one is kind of a gamble. With her Euphoria, she got both stronger buffs and better healing, making her a great sustain option again. Right now though, she's mainly best in slot for Marcus and Winsong, especially with Marcus becoming so much stronger post Euphoria, reaching tier 1 category. But still, they are not on the same level as Impromptu Incantation, or of course the true limited teams. That said, things could change very soon. Arcus is getting her Euphoria somehow in the upcoming CM patch, and all the signs right now are just pointing to the next true limited character being an Incantation rank up DPS. If that happens, and unless they drop a brand new healer for that, Vela is going to be the go-to choice for potentially the next meta defining team. So if you want to gamble, you could grab one of Vela's portrait with this. Her P1 through P4 all directly boost her buffing power, and honestly, you can't go wrong with any of them. And that's all for the portrait I'd recommend right now. But what do you guys think? Are there any portrait that I didn't list, but you think is actually really good and worth picking up? Leave them in the comments down below. And as always, this has been SteamBandX. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.